We're back. Hi, it's Derek and Rob. Sports Take.
What is wrong with you?
I don't know. It's weird. We had a little music hiccup there. Happens, man. All right, so let's talk some birds, Derek. So they bring back Dennis Kelly. You remember Dennis Kelly? He was originally drafted by the team in 2012 in the 5th round out of Purdue. Was here a couple of years. Got traded for Dorial Beckham-Green, which turned out to be a disaster. If you remember that, he just flat out couldn't play. And to Kelly's credit, he kind of looked like a borderline NFLer, and he's carved out a really nice career. I mean, the guy's played a long time in the league with Tennessee and the Colts, and they bring him back for a little bit of depth. Okay, I mean, the guy's a pro and knows how to go about his business. You just wonder how much he has left in the tank.
Exactly. Basically, they were short a guard in training camp, so obviously they need a guard rotation for depth. They want to see if he has anything left in the tank. He would be a nice addition to guard. He's a bigger body. The Eagles love these big dudes in the offensive line, man.
Yeah.
That's why Cam Jurgens being the runt of the litter on the offensive line at 6'3". They love their 6'5", 6'6", 6'8" guys on that offensive line, except for the center position. Dennis Kelly, he knows what is expected of him here with this organization. He's been through these doors before. He knows the culture here. And of course, he's under the tutorship of Jeff Stoutland. So, he's in a perfect place. If he's going to extend his career one more year, he's in the right place to try to do that.
6'8", 321 pounds. So you weren't lying about the size. But, he was an Eagle from 12 through 15. He played a decent amount of time in Tennessee. He was there from 16 to 20. Then it's been Green Bay, the Colts, and now to the Eagles. So we'll see. I mean, now, look, if he makes it, great. You got some depth, and you got a guy, at least if you had to throw him in there, you feel like the guy's played he's had a lot of experience. There isn't anything he hasn't seen in the NFL. So there's that. All right, let's dip into our storylines here, Derek. We'll start on the offensive side of the ball, on the side of the ball where Dennis Kelly plays. All right, so here we go. How much will Jalen Hurts improve in 2023 from what he did in 2022?
Well, I know Jalen will tell you, and the coaches will tell you there's always something you can improve on. But when you look at what he accomplished last year, I mean, he completed 66% of his passes. He only threw 6 interceptions. He ran the ball 165 times for 760 yards. He finished number 2 in the MVP voting, and he missed 2 games. How much better can he get? Is reading defenses, calling audibles at the line of scrimmage, making certain throws, whether it's the out route, the back shoulder throw, a little bit better, a little bit tighter. Those are things that we don't know until they share those things with us.
Right.
But the Jalen Hurts that played in 2022 is by far good enough to have an exceptional season in 2023 and lead this team right back to another Super Bowl. And the scary thing is he's only 24, approaching 25.
Right. Yeah, it is crazy. Like, here's what I expect. I do expect him to get better. What's the variance? Like, how much better can he get? I think where you're going to see the improvement is just understanding what he's seeing in terms of coverages and whatnot a little bit better, which will mean a little less quick to take off in the pocket. Now,
right.
Not that it was a big problem last year, and he definitely got better going through his progressions, but I think that's the thing that you'll see a little bit is just his understanding, things still slowing down for him, which happens to all quarterbacks, and allowing him to maybe dump it off to DeAndre Swift or connecting with Dallas Goedert if maybe your receivers aren't there or whatever. That's where I expect to see the improvement out of him. The great thing is you don't need any improvement in terms of leadership or in terms of work ethic or you're not in any way, shape, or form going to be worried about the big contract that he signed. Any of that. That's great. You don't have to give yourself a second thought with that kind of stuff with him. So that's what I love about it. But I think he'll be the first one to tell you. There's things he won't reveal it because why would he? Why would he give an advantage to a defense?
Exactly.
But he'll be the first one to tell you I can get better at stuff. And I think that's good. But that also the other good thing is that's where Nick Sirianni and Brian Johnson and what's his name, Tanzi, who's the quarterback coach now who got elevated. They're all not afraid. They know he's not the kind of guy who's going to, crater to any kind of constructive criticism. or coaching. You can coach him up and
Yes.
he'll respond to it rather than I got this. He's not a Carson Wentz know-it-all or a Kyler Murray. I got this. He's a listening guy.
It may be something as subtle as stepping into his throws a little bit more to get a little bit more velocity on certain throws. Just little things to tweak your game. I just hope the Eagles don't get to a point, I don't think they will, where they want to make him more of a pocket presence more so than a running quarterback, because we see a lot of times quarterbacks like the Lamar Jacksons who basically has said, we're going to throw the ball down the field more. To what degree? To where it makes you less of a dual threat.
Right.
I hope we don't get to that point. At some point of Jalen Hurts' career, he's going to become that more pocket presence because it's less wear and tear on the body to do so. And I think Lamar Jackson is at that stage of his career now. He was this phenomenal weapon who ran for 1,000 yards, won an MVP based on his legs as much as his arms. But as we've seen over the last couple of years, he has missed significant time because of his running nature.
Right.
And I think Jalen is going to continue to use that attribute for at least another couple of years of being that so-called consummate dual threat. Now, he will evolve more into a stay-at-home type quarterback out of necessity. That's understandable. But for right now, don't do anything that hinders his overall game. Now, I've said it, I've been going on record time and time again. I want to see him run the ball less.
Yeah.
But I would like to see him become a little bit more like a Patrick Mahomes. Give the presence that you're going to take off and run to freeze a safety, a linebacker, a cornerback to the point where a receiver can free up down the field somewhere.
Yeah.
Because once he gets outside the pocket, coverages are looking at one eye at him and one at the person they're covering. You take one eye off the person you're covering, all of a sudden they're this way or this way, and you're like 3 or 4 yards away from him. Zip, he's getting the ball there. So if that's the case, I would like to see him float outside the pocket a little bit more to buy time for himself, but also give the illusion that he could take off at any given moment.
I agree. They're all great points. All right, let's stay on that for a minute here, just with the offense in general. So last year, Derek, they averaged 28.1 points per game. That was third best in the NFL, right below the Bills. Bills were 28.4, so they're right there. Kansas City was 29.2. Okay, so you're talking about the top three teams right there in football. How much better can the offense be generally this year than they were last year?
Number 3 in offense, averaging almost 390 yards a game. 10th in pass. Number 5 in rushing.
Yep.
148 yards a game, and 3rd in points. The only way you get better is if you go up to number 1 across the board in all these categories. And with teams like Kansas City and Buffalo out there, I don't know. I think it's going to be neck and neck just like it was this year. I think this offense, I don't know, using the word explosive. As explosive as they were in 2022, I just expect more of the same.
Yeah, I do too.
To be honest with you.
Yep.
I don't think the offense has to get better, just maintain its consistency like it did for most of the season last year.
Yeah.
They had a couple of hiccups, obviously, because Jalen Hurts was not under center. That's understandable when your franchise quarterback is not there. But for the most part, I mean, what else could you ask of an offense? Think about how many offenses in the National Football League, at least 28 offenses in the National Football League, wishes they could have been what the Eagles were.
I agree. Look, yeah, there isn't a lot of room to go up. I mean, the good thing is you're going to, it's going to be different at running back, but I still think it can be equally effective.
Yes.
We don't know about the guard spot. That's, the one question mark you have, but there's no reason to believe that your receivers can't get better, because they're still young, and and AJ Brown's still in his full year with Jalen. DeVonta Smith's in his 3rd full year as a player. Dallas Goedert, if he can stay healthy, I'll get to him in a second. But he's another one who's a stud. There's no reason to believe this offense can at least be right where they were, if not better. So I'm with you on that one. Will DeVonta Smith get 1,400 yards receiving?
No.
That's a big leap.
No, I think it's quite evident. As much as Jalen loves DeVonta, AJ is his guy in certain situations, and because opponents have such a fear factor of AJ, it makes that slant route, that quick slant route he runs, so lethal. And I think it's going to be more of that. I mean, DeVonta Smith had 95 catches and over 1,100 yards. I could say he could equally get to 1,200. but getting to 1,500 because of A.J. Brown, and if Dallas Goedert stays healthy, and because you have a back in the backfield now in DeAndre Swift, who's going to catch his share of balls out of the backfield, I don't think DeVonta will get to 1,400 yards. He might get 100 catches this year.
Yeah.
I don't think he'll get to 1,400 yards.
I would say 12 is a good goal for him. He gets to 12, it's darn good. And then look, he's playing somewhere else. Maybe he gets 1,400, but these are good problems to have, that he may be roadblocked a little bit by A.J. Brown and Dallas Goedert.
Well, his rookie year, he almost had 1,000.
Yep.
He increases that by almost 300 his second year. And I think he's settled into where he's going to be 90 to 100 catch receiver, great route runner, possession type receiver that can get by a defender at any given time. Mm-hmm. But when it comes to it, the home run threat for this team, I think is the combination of Hurts going deep to AJ. And let's face it, look how well it worked for him last year. Mm-hmm. Why would you change that?
Agreed.
This year.
All right. Who will emerge at that guard spot? Juergens or Steen?
Ooh, Dennis Kelly.
That's why he's here. That's why they brought him in. Yeah.
I'm just saying, for giggles, can you imagine an Eagles offensive line breaking a huddle? You have 6'5" Lane Johnson, 6'8" Dennis Kelly, 6'3" Jason Kelsey, 6'6" Landon Dickerson, and 6'8" Jordan Mailata.
I mean, it's insane. Think of it like we talk all the time about how small Kelsey is.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. Like, I'll give you, Gunnar, I saw something so funny. I think it was yesterday before the Phillies game, or maybe it was Tuesday. I think it was Tuesday. So Mailata was there during BP, and he was hanging out with some of the guys.
Right.
And he's standing next to Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber looked like a child next to him. Kyle Schwarber's a big boy. Kyle Schwarber played linebacker and was a Division I recruit at linebacker in high school. Like, he's a big dude. He looked like a Smurf next to Jordan Mailata, man. I'm telling you.
Jordan Mailata's 6'8", 350.
Oh,
seriously?
It was crazy.
Block out the sun.
But you're right. Just for the sheer fun of that, I'd like to see Kelly in there with all the rest of these guys who were like mountain men. Yes. That would just be insane.
But to directly answer your question, I think it's Cam Juergens' job to win or lose, and he's 6'3". So you got 2 6'3" guys along the offensive line. But I do believe they want to get him on the field, get him as many reps as possible, get him up to game speed. Even if he has to make that transition over to center, it will be a natural progression for him. But, he's waited patiently in the wings. He's a young player. But I think it's his job to win or lose as of right now.
Yeah, I think that this is one where they would rather have the guy who's been here for a year in the system and played to some degree, or at least been up close and personal in the NFL, right? I think they would prefer that over a rookie. It's only natural that you would want that to be the case. But if either Steen is just out there killing it, or, Juergens looks more like he's struggling because he's a center, ultimately, I don't think they'll be afraid to make a move. If you think about it, they plugged almost all these guys across the offensive line, played as rookies, Derek, with the exception of Mailata. Dickerson did after a couple of games, right? Yeah. Kelsey started right away at center. This was back in the Howard Mudd days. He started right away at center. Lane started right away. Yep. So they're not afraid to start these guys, as rookies if they show you that they're the man.
And I think what we saw a little bit of Juergens last year, the way he got off the snap, got downfield to the second and third levels and keep the feet moving. Yeah. I think he's earned that right. There's a reason why they drafted him in the second round. They didn't draft him to just sit on the bench, and then they go and draft another kid in the second round, Tyler Steen, who's 6'6". He's more like the Jurassic Park offensive lineman that the Eagles like to have up front. Right. But I think Jeff Stoutland obviously has a big say-so in terms of who he feels should be in there. Mm-hmm. And I think because he's already penciled in as the guy, I think Stoutland is very comfortable with how he's progressed from his rookie year to now. And, let's see. Now, will he finish where he starts? I don't know. Yeah. Depends on how quickly this kid Steen develops, But I think if Juergens does what they expect him to do, I think he'll be there from start to finish.
Okay. All right. Next question for you. Who will emerge as the lead running back? Who will be the guy who gets the bulk of the carries? If it's a playoff game, who's starting here? Yeah.
I think if he's healthy, I think it's Penny. I think they want to use Penny as the battering ram, 5'11", 220, to soften up a defense. I mean, the guy's almost averaged 6 yards per carry in his career when he's healthy. You know, his best career, I think he had 749 yards rushing, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know if he's going to be there for the duration, but for as long as he's healthy enough to step on the field on game day, I'm using him between the tackles as a battering ram because not only can he break tackles, he has the ability to run away from pursuers as well. So I think I that's a tough question to answer because I do believe it's going to be running back by truly a running back by committee, and whoever has the hot hand at any given series of downs is going to be the guy who's in there at that particular time. But just based on how you asked the question, I think he's the guy who starts it off to get it going and to try to soften up a defense for the quicker guys like, Swift, Gainwell, and Boston Scott.
I'm there. I think it's going to be Swift ultimately, but I'm with you. I do not think they go into this with anything set in stone. No. I think they're very much, it's going to be a fluid situation from game to game. And whoever's, let's just say this team really struggles against quicker guys, then it might be a Swift game, or they struggle with running backs catching the ball out of the backfield. You don't love their linebackers. You'll attack that. That could be a Swift game. They're not the best tackling team in the world. They're a little bit small up front. Penny might pound you to death. I think it really depends on the matchup of whatever team.
I agree. I agree 100%.
And the other thing is we know this too. They're not afraid to throw Boston Scott or Kenneth Gainwell in there in, goal line situations or whatever.
Yeah.
So you're going to see all four of these guys. Now, is it going to be heavy Penny, Swift? For sure. It's going to be a lot more of that than it is the other guys, but still, nonetheless, I mean, I think they're in a good situation. I think it's unique. These guys are very different, the skill sets that they bring. And I think it makes them harder to defend. I do.
Which puzzles me even more so. If Boston Scott was only going to get $2 million, which is what he got from the Eagles, why not go somewhere else to a team that has more of a need for a running back where you could showcase your skills a little bit better and parlay that into better money down the road? Now, he's never going to make big money.
Right.
But, he could have got 4, 5, 6 million from somebody else. But here he decided to stay on the depth chart. And look, he's number 4 on the depth chart. So his touches are going to be so limited unless it's special teams. It's ridiculous.
I wonder, was he not even going to get $2 million somewhere else?
Yeah.
In this terrible running back market.
But the veteran minimum is not much further below what he got.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, I don't know. Maybe he's just comfortable in this. I don't know. It's hard. That's a hard one to answer. I'm not sure.
He's costing himself opportunities and potential money by staying here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, is it as simple as he's comfortable here? He likes the area. I don't know. Maybe it's a personal thing.
Yeah.
But you're right.
That just blew me away that he decided that quickly that he was going to stay here.
Yeah. Good guy. I mean, good for the Eagles. It's good to keep guys like that around. They are valuable, man. They are very valuable. All right. What else did I want to hit you with here? Okay. Goddard. What is the expectation if he can play 16, 17 games from you?
Goddard has averaged, even when he was able to play the majority of a season, Goddard has averaged right between 55 and 60 catches. I expect him to be right there. He might get lucky and surpass 60, but I expect him to be right around that number and maybe 800 yards. I think his best season was like 805 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll be that much better. Not to say he doesn't have the physical attributes, but I just think with so many weapons that Jalen Hurts has too, so many different variations that Brian Johnson and Nick Sirianni can go to in terms of calling passing plays, I don't think he's going to get those looks like a Travis Kelce, a George Kittle. When you look at those teams, those are premier pass catchers.
Yeah.
And Goddard could be, but he's in such a diversified passing offense that his numbers are going to suffer for the overall betterment of the team. I expect the Eagles to do the same thing they did last year. If they're sitting on a lead in the second half, they're going to try to run the ball and control the clock, which means Goddard's not getting the ball in his hands. Goddard has now become such an accomplished blocker. He's going to be counted on the block as much as he is catching the football now. And I can see scenarios, as tough as this schedule is, I can see scenarios where the Eagles are trying to protect a close game lead. And if they're running the ball effectively, 3-4 yards a carry on the average, the ball's taken out of Goddard's hands. So that's why I said right around 60 catches, right around 820 yards.
Yeah, it sounds about right. I mean, look, the biggest thing is, and we all know what it is, stay on the field. He hasn't played a full 16 since his rookie year in 2018. He's played 15, 11, 15, and 12. So stay on the field. 12 games, 700 yards receiving is still pretty good.
Yes.
12 yards, almost 13 yards per catch. So he's a very, very valuable player, man. That's for sure. And it's a shame. The one fumble he has on his record is the one where he got a blatant face mask. You remember that, which injured him. So good player. Okay. All right. That's interesting. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to jump to the defensive side when we come back. First question, I'm going to hit you with this. I want you to think about this. I want you to chat the chat to think about this. Okay. Will Jalen Carter shine? I don't mean just, it looks pretty good for a rookie. I mean, this dude's legit as a defensive tackle in the league. We'll do that when we come back. He's Derek Gunn. I'm Rob Ellis. 2:00. We'll have Pat Leonard from the New York Daily News to talk about the Saquon thing as well. So we'll hit that when we return. All right, Derek, Rob, Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group, because knowing who to trust with your finances can be a very scary proposition. And I was that person for a very long time. I don't want you to have to go through that. All right. I could tell you right now, it was the best move that I made, trusting Jim Murray and Principal Financial Group. I've done it with my IRA, with my 401k rollovers from other places that I had been. For you, it could be retirement planning, 401k review, insurance review. You might have a small business and you need help with your employee benefits. That's another resource that Jim can help you with. And he's also great with any kind of questions. So give him a call, 610-996-4751, 610-996-4751. You could also email him, Murray, Murray.Jim@principal.com. That's Murray.Jim